Hi, I am Anastasia Rozvadovska, a Ukrainian correspondent for JURIST, a former law student of Taras Shevchenko National University of Kyiv, Ukraine, and a current LLM student at University of Pіттсбурга School of Law. This interview will be a first from the series of interviews which we'll be doing on various aspects of Ukrainian reconstruction. Today, I will be interviewing investigator Yulia Mihайлюk and junior investigator Stepan Duplінський from the Business-Ombudsman Council team to get their unique perspective on the topic of legal issues Ukrainian business faced during the war and how it is possible to solve them in terms of post-war rebuilding. First of all, can you please introduce yourself?
Hello, my name is Юлія Михайлюк. I'm investigator at the Business-Ombudsman Council.
Hi everyone, my name is Stepan Duplінський and I'm junior investigator at Business-Ombudsman Council.
Thanks for that. Can you briefly describe what is Business-Ombudsman Council? What is the main aims, functions of institution for those who may be unfamiliar with that?
If I may start, I would say that Business-Ombudsman Council is a quasi-governmental, independent and impartial institution. Its main aim is to deal with B2G disputes where business is not happy with what the government does and wants to challenge the decisions or renew its interest in out-of-court procedure. So basically, how business can get to us is we are lodging a complaint. Once we receive the complaint from business entity, we assess it according to our criteria. And once we agree with the position, we preliminarily agree with the position of the business entity, we try to help it via mediation or other tools available for making our best efforts and gaining the best result for the company without the need for going to court. The privilege which basically business gets is professional legal advice free of charge. So we believe that we have our mission and we try to complete it as much and as best as we can do.
And does the Business-Ombudsman Council stop their work after 24th February, after the full-scale invasion of Russia, or not? And if not, how has the format of work changed?
Well, obviously, our work was interrupted a bit in the very beginning, and I think it was for every institution in the country. But we did our best to gather our strengths and forces and continue doing what we can do best. Though our format has changed a little bit, it was altered because we had to answer new war-related challenges, and we started doing something more like consultations in the format of helpline. So business basically could apply for any advice or for any help to understand how to be in this war conditions. So our format was altered to answer specifically matters that concerned actually military activities and everything which was purported to it, like any restrictions due to necessity to have foreign currency inside the country. So these restrictions were very heavy for business. It was a heavy burden, especially for those businesses that were not able to prepare in advance. So right now we are trying to come back to our previous format when we just help with complaints with everything, and we already started accepting all kinds of questions, but strategic changes may ensue, and we are working on it. We cannot disclose it right now, but we are positive that some format of our work will expand.
That's interesting. Yeah. And also, can you name what kind of issues you were dealing with before the war started? So what kind of complaints from business entities were the most popular one? Which kind of problems Ukrainian business face before the war started?
As I said before, we are dealing where B2G issue arises. So in general, it's all about misconduct, malpractice from the side of state. It's authorities, municipal authorities, including municipal authorities and the state entities, which are ruled by the public legal entities. What matters Ukrainian business the most? I believe it's the same as in any country, is finances. So tax issues are on the top list of what we deal with, resulting in 65 to 70% of overall disputes before the war. So normally, 2/3 of cases we deal with are about taxes in different variations. It's tax audits, non-enforcement of court decisions regarding taxes, finances, etc. Second top priority of what we used to deal with were the criminal cases. Usually it's about delays in investigations opening and in conducting procedural actions, and also excessive pressure on business from the side of law enforcement agencies. And last but not the least, all kinds of issues connected to permits, licenses in building, real estate, land, subsoil use, etc. So actually we are quite wide range specialist, but I would say with the deep dive into this finance aspect of B2G disputes.
Yeah, and you, Stefan, you told us that the format of work changed, and I guess that kind of complaints from Ukrainian business also changed. And what is the most frequent complaints now? And does it change? Maybe they're the same.
Well, as my colleague said, taxes. And taxes, as you know, are inevitable, and we're trying to mitigate a little bit of unpleasantness of this inevitability. So, of course, there was a break where we did not deal with taxes as much in spring. But when we started accepting all kinds of cases, our previous format, about which Yulia just said, and the ratio of different types of cases, it kind of returned. Of course, we faced some new challenges, and as I already mentioned, it was partly related to these restrictions which were imposed due to military activities. So probably the most critical matter for the business during the spring and midsummer, and until midsummer, it was imposition of restrictions on critical imports. So basically, business could not normally use currency, foreign currency, which reserve currency like dollar, euro, to make any purchases of goods and services abroad. In order to, it was imposed in order to preserve this currency for the government to use it in military spendings and procurements, or any kind of war-related procurements. So, and of course, stabilize the hryvnia course, our national currency. So it was like a very high priority matter for us, because these lists, they were very restrictive, and we were trying to assist business with including some necessary positions which government didn't include in the first place, in order to facilitate normal exchange of goods and services. So this situation was altered a bit in midsummer, when government lifted all restrictions from import of goods. So we basically do not have right now critical goods, but we still have some restrictions on services, which leads to some issues, especially in businesses that previously relied on foreign involvement, like insurance, for example. And from the perspective of investments right now and risks, this is probably one thing that should be considered, because it was a very widespread practice of reinsuring local risks abroad. So reinsurers were mostly based in such reputable places like Frankfurt or other European countries, but obviously it was a new challenge for Ukrainian business, because reinsuring inside the country was not popular due to, well, some infamy of this procedure. But right now it still persists, and this matter cannot be resolved in one day. So this is a new reality, and every foreign investment which is made in Ukraine should consider that at least at this angle, there may be a problem. Because insurance is very important sometimes for many businesses, and sometimes even mandatory, if I'm not mistaken. So current changes in subjects of complaints, they mostly reflect new regulations that calls to provide leeway to business in difficult times, because this legislation is adopted on a regular basis and very fast, because we need to address reactively every issue that the country faces. There are obviously mistakes, lacunas, and it is not like a bad thing. We just need to react fast and point it out for the legislator or regulators, well, for the authorities.
One follow-up question, but do you think the government is doing a well job? Do they react well on what were give us such some new situations? They need to deal with that fast. Of course, their reactions are, it's not a perfect one, but do you satisfied with that generally?
Well, our country still exists, so I think our government is doing very good. Well, in this situation, I don't think every country would withstand so many challenges that Ukraine has faced in such a short period of time, especially taking the imparity in our forces and the overall situation with limited support, limited in time and in reaction. So yeah, I would say that our government is doing its best. Obviously, there are issues, but we are one of the actors that should mitigate that.
Yeah. If I may continue, I would like to support my colleague saying that Ukraine happened to deal with the issues any country is ready to. I mean, you usually don't play a full-scale, long-lasting war as your normal operational activity risk. It's force majeure, which happened. So we had dozens of challenges, but still this week, I believe International Monetary Fund, they assessed the decrease of Ukrainian GDP for minus 30%, which is huge. But still, it's maybe not that bad as it could be. Still, we have businesses. We have even new enterprises which open, not many of them, of course, because it's not probably wise to invest in a country where missiles attacks are all the time. But still, government tries to be on the same page with the businesses, tries to open new routes of communication. I mean, it's much less bureaucracy now as it used to be before. And that's something inspiring, I would say.
Yeah, and what else from your perspective can be done to help business in such hard times? What maybe government or even other countries can do?
Well, Stefan, can you?
Yeah, you can say if you want.
I may start. We are now also financed for 1/3 from the external sources, Ukrainian budget, I mean. But still, at the same time, we have some routine operations happening towards businesses, like a VAT refund.
Mm-hmm.
It has the deadlines are not always met, but still refund is done, which I believe is another inspiring story in our reality. In midsummer, we had several Ukrainian government launched several microfinancial grants, assistance to businesses, starting from IT sector to farming, agriculture. So people can apply for finances and get them for a minimum rate or free of charge. And this is something which supports to work in these hard conditions. And also we have a number of separate programs for such kind of people like internally displaced people or veterans. So this is another line of support, of business support towards those who start business from these categories.
Stefan, do you have something to add?
Well, my colleague covered mostly the main important issues. Like, we need to respond quickly to all challenges, and war calls us for swift decisions and removal of all unnecessary barriers that may lead to problems that arise in a normal activity. So we gotta deal with situations when we kind of still have some unnecessary barriers, necessary restrictions, permits, licenses, which is right now everyone knows about it, and our parliament is considering removal of such barriers. So it's also a good thing. We'll see about that, what will happen, what's going to happen, and how it's going to be implemented. So yeah, I would say war changed everything, especially our approaches.
Yeah, that's totally true. And let's imagine for 1 second that the wars ended, and what do you think can be done after that to help more quickly reconstruct our Ukrainian business, to help them to recover after that situation? Of course, I think that governmental help, like support, will be one of the crucial points here. And maybe you have your own thoughts what can be done for that.
I would like to start from the point where Stepan just finished. Everything has changed, and Ukrainian business is now more adaptive, more flexible as ever before. So this is, I would say, a nice thing, and Ukrainian business, I think, would adapt to any model of reconstruction, renovation proposed on the top governmental level. There is even a joke in Ukraine, especially between Ukrainians abroad, that if you are an employer and want a hire employee who is very stress resistant, just hire a Ukrainian, because we work from shellings. We are online 24/7, because you never know when you're going to have air raid sirens for 5 hours or something like that. So this is what we have now. Therefore, we think that I think that the reconstruction will be a gradual thing. Probably we may say that something has already started, because we have huge support from abroad, also to the state budget, as I said, finance for 1/3 from abroad right now. And we probably have a vision of what we shall have in the end. We shall have a very pro-European Ukraine, which is democratic, modernized, better than it used to be before the war. But the architecture of the rebuilding is, I would say, issue of not of this momentum, but it's somewhere in the future.
And I would say about rebuilding that there are a lot of rebuilding plans right now, and you probably have heard about conference in Lugano in Switzerland and any other types of programs that are aimed at reconstruction and rebuilding. But the problem is that right now we need emergency aid and some basic rehabilitation, and this is only possible under these conditions, like until the ceasefire or in some kind of a final resolution in this mess. But reconstruction and modernization, they are not on the agenda today, and it can be changed in the future. So as I already said, we got plenty of plans, but we cannot start implementing them at least until there is no such a big degree of uncertainty that we face every day. And as my colleague mentioned, we don't know what happened today or tomorrow. It may be like a shelling, like it used to be, or like it was this week. So, well, we need to deal with these challenges first, and then talk about some kind of rebuilding and rehabilitation. And it is only possible in case of increased foreign aid in all aspects, like not only military, it's obvious, and it's not under question or consideration. This foreign involvement should be at all stages, in all places. Well, if European countries or the Western countries want to participate in Ukrainians' rehabilitation and rebuilding, they should start now. They should not wait.
Yes, thanks for that, because I really think that the emergency help is very important point as for now, as for situation for now. And thanks you for that interview. I really feel that it will help other people to understand more deeply the problems which we face every day, which business face every day, and how they will survive and go through that problems in the future. So thanks for that one more time, and thanks for coming.
Thanks for inviting.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Thank you.